Welcome to Tim's Antique Trains. Today's video is going to showcase my newly restored Tyco Mantua Burlington passenger train, as well as an unboxing and demonstration of a set of ConCor passenger cars from eBay.
All aboard!
Alright, let's talk a little bit about the Tyco set. I don't remember when I acquired this. I think my mom actually picked it up at a rummage sale. When we got it, the set ran, but just barely. The locomotive was pretty rough and ran better in reverse. Eventually, it stopped going forward at all. The passenger cars were in decent shape, although some of the couplers were broken off. Each passenger car has 2 light bulbs inside. I replaced most of the bulbs with regular incandescent light bulbs. Doing this is really actually quite easy. Just remove one screw on the end of the car and the shell slides off. Once I had them apart, I gently scrubbed the shells with mild natural detergent, which removed only the dirt and didn't remove any of the paint or lettering. Replacing the light bulbs requires a bit of soldering, which is not difficult, but I won't go into detail here. I stuck with regular light bulbs to keep it more authentic. The other thing I had to do was to replace some of the broken couplers. For mine, I used part of a KD coupler and actually used a K-horn style coupler that fits Athearn engines. This worked out very good, and I was able to superglue the couplers onto the mount. I then oiled all the wheels and reassembled everything. Then I had to tackle the engine. While it's not the best engine ever made, it's just good enough to pull its own train, and that's about it. This assembly requires removing the 2 screws that hold the weight in place. Make sure you don't lose any screws like I did and had to find matching replacements. Then you can remove the 2 screws that hold down each truck. The motor is attached to the rear truck. I had to take the brushes out and clean the commutator thoroughly and oil everything. I also had to replace the light bulb. I think I used a 14 or 18 volt bulb, but for an engine like this, you probably should just use a 12 volt bulb. A higher voltage rating will last much longer, but will not be very bright. As you can see, the engine headlight works, but just barely. Well, I'm not going to take it apart to change it anymore, as doing so is a lot of work and definitely tries one's patience. The last thing to do on this engine was probably the most important. On the motor truck, 2 of the wheels are metal for electrical pickup, and the other 2 are plastic, probably Bakelite. These plastic wheels are supposed to have rubber traction tires, which in this case both were missing. So the smooth wheels would just slip on the tracks and it could barely pull 1 or 2 cars. I was able to find some aftermarket traction tires and after a little trouble, got them both seated onto the wheels. I recommend supergluing them into place, otherwise they will tend to pop off and then you have to start all over. Reassembling the motor is the worst part of the repair because the 2 screws are right next to the motor magnet, so the screws stick to the magnet instead of sliding into the plastic pegs that hold it in place. Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program for a special delivery from eBay. Let's head upstairs to the upstairs workbench to find out what's inside the box. Today a box arrived in the mail and we're going to open it. Alright, let's get started.
This box looks bigger than it actually is. So let's open this end and it looks like a perfect place to start. Alright, turn this around. You can see what's in the box.
Very nicely packed, lots of bubble wrap.
Alright.
We have 3 ConCor Pennsylvania HO passenger coaches.
Let's open these and see what's inside the boxes. See what kind of shape these are in.
I like the boxes. It's got a very cool vintage design. But the best part is quality HO.
We'll unbubble wrap the rest and then open boxes. Alright.
In the first box we have slumber coach, we have an HO coach, and a baggage car. So they're not in the original boxes, but that's okay.
Yes.
In fact, none of them are in the boxes with the original labels. But I have to say, by the looks of this, it is almost new. ConCor, made in Austria. Hardly a scratch on it. In fact, I'd have to say, because the wheels have never been put on, that these are indeed brand new. There's the bag of wheels for this one. Yep. Got the old, good old K-horn couplers. Very nice. And we'll open the slumber coach. Absolutely nothing on the inside, but that's just fine by me. ConCor, and then again, made in Austria. And the last car is just a standard coach. This one does have a few scratches on the roof, but that's definitely not going to impede the operation whatsoever.
Brand new, never opened. These are nice wheels, very heavy.
Alright, now that the new ConCor cars have been unboxed, we return to our more exciting regular programming and test these cars out on the layout. Let's add in the ConCor passenger cars. Can you tell where they sit? The ConCor cars are not going to make rivet counters happy, but that isn't important to me. What is important is that they operate well from the factory. These cars are very lightweight, so it is probably a good idea to add some metal weights to help them roll smoothly down the tracks. And keep them oiled a bit too. One thing that I thought was odd about these cars is how far apart they sit. Having cars close together is more realistic, but that can cause derailments on tight radius curves. On the other hand, these cars sit really far apart. It must have been a very early design. If you look at my previous video, my uncle has a set of ConCor passenger cars that sit closer together and they operate just fine. Overall, I'm very pleased with this eBay find. Most of this time, stuff I see on eBay isn't exactly a good deal, so I usually avoid buying from eBay, but not here. These are just fine. So I'm running this set with the same little Tyco engine, which does struggle pulling 7 cars. And actually, in the real world, just one engine would not be enough to pull a fully loaded 7-car train. The F units were rated at 1500 horsepower, so realistically you would need 2 or 3 engines. Let's see how this train looks, fully decked out with an ABA set of Chicago Northwestern F units. By the way, there's an extra car in the set, if you haven't noticed. It's another Tyco passenger car which matches the Burlington set as far as shape and performance, but it is the Baltimore and Ohio road instead. I found that at a train show for $2. It's a little dirty, but operates just fine and is a great addition to the silver passenger set. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.